thought this was trying to enter through Zoom. And
oh dear.
I should have known with the hashtag that it was a phone call. I'm so sorry. Anyway.
It's okay, honey, because you can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned. I've been so excited about you coming on. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about your background in the development and launch of Juice Plus, John?
Well, as many of the people on the call know, back 28, 29 years ago, the company was going through a difficult time, and I was the vice president of product development at that time. I just joined the company basically to kind of figure out what we were going to do in the future. And in talking with distributors, particularly Jeff Roberti, they were pushing really hard for a consumable product. And understandably, Jay didn't want to do it because, we had so many companies in direct sales that were in vitamins and minerals like Amway and Shaklee and New Skin and Herbalife and all the rest. And so he didn't want to be a Johnny-come-lately type. So we were working on a lot of things, including, as you know, a sophisticated education company. But when it came to a nutritional product, it basically, my marching orders were that it had to be totally unique, but not from the rainforest to Borneo, not really, out there and hard to explain. And also that it needed to work. And so basically Jay thought, well, I'll give him these instructions and I'll never find anything. And then, of course, along came Jeff and Smokey, and Jeff introduced me to Smokey Santoa, who had this idea and was stuck, very frustrated. And basically, Jeff, because he honored the company and wanted the company to do it, handed it over to me, and I took over with Smokey. And we worked on getting this concept launched. And so it was really my job behind the scene to get Smokey unstuck. I found the people who could dry the juice at low temperature. I found a manufacturing partner in NAI. I set up the supply chain of where we originally got the fruits and vegetables and all that sort of thing. Basically the management, the development of the product. So that was my job. And on March 25th, 1993 at the San Diego Congress, we kicked it off. And there you go.
Oh, my. That's fantastic. And, I think as we went right into, I actually started sharing a little bit about the clinical research process from proposal to publication, but maybe you could comment on that as well.
Yeah. And, the amazing thing, of course, is that we didn't plan to start out that way. But in the very original meeting with the powders in my office with Smokey, when we mixed them in the water, and Jay made a joke about it looking like mud and perhaps not tasting quite as good as mud, the big question was really, at that point I said, hey, let's take taste out of the equation. Let's take the appearance out of the equation and let's put them in a capsule. Because I had met Mark through his mother through our educational company. And Jay's question was, can you get enough in the capsule to do anybody any good? And I said, Jay, I don't know. But we can do some testing and find out. And right there, Wendy, were the seeds of what became the clinical research program. Because, of course, the lab testing was very successful. And Dr. John Weiss at that point said, I think we can do even more. And so when we found ourselves in the midst of struggling with testimonials, we thought, what a great differentiator this would be in the marketplace if we had actual clinical research to base our claims on. And so that's how it got started. And what it takes is, first, there is a proposal. Now, in the early days, John helped us find clinical researchers who worked on aspects of Juice Plus like bioavailability and things that we felt very confident would show very strong, and immune system and things like that. In later days, once we got the ball rolling, almost all of the studies of the last 20 years have been universities and research hospitals and research centers coming to us. So it starts with a proposal. And that basically, we work with them to determine, do we really think that this is something that Juice Plus is made for? Is the principle of the study, will it lead to potential success? And once that's done, the researchers themselves put the proposal together. They go through their internal review board at the hospital or the university. They recruit all the patients. They draw the blood. They protect the blood draws under ice for the length of the study. They administer the product. They follow the people. They do the testing. They do the statistics. And really, we don't get involved again until the study is virtually done and an abstract is prepared. And at that point, we're just looking at it to make sure we can't rewrite it. All we can do is make sure that they've described the product and they've described the company correctly. Then the principal investigator, as generally goes, in fact, on virtually all Juice Plus studies, they go to a scientific conference and they present their work in front of their peers. And they get feedback and input and questions. And for that point, they go back, dig a little deeper, answer the questions, and then it goes to a peer review committee of a journal. And the same process happens again. The journal's peer review committee criticizes, questions.
I'm warming you up some soup.
The principal investigator has to satisfy the peer review committee before the journal will accept the study for publication. And then, of course, it has to wait in line for the next available publication that isn't already full. So it's a process that could take years at times. It's very complex, and it's totally independent. I mean, basically, we're sitting on the sidelines. We do send in an independent auditor during the actual testing period to make sure that the hospital or the research center or the university is making progress on schedule. But we can't go in there ourselves. It's totally independent. So it's a very complicated, very sophisticated, and well-respected process within the scientific community. It's good stuff.
Well, and Hans, when we were talking just recently, you were talking about the quality of universities and research hospitals and all. I mean, MD Anderson and all of your favorites. Can you talk a little bit more about them and also the credentials of the researchers themselves? I had never heard you talk about that before.
Yeah, I mean, this idea sort of came to me as I've been working with the marketing folks behind the scenes who really, we have a great new team, and you met many of them at conference, and we're so excited about Stuart and the team and Sean and his role. But they really didn't have a background of understanding. And in talking to them, these things occurred to me. First of all, we're looking at the top universities, research hospitals, research centers in the world. I mean, Cambridge, King's College, Yale, Vanderbilt, UCLA, MD Anderson, Sydney University. It's the largest university in all of Australia. And underneath this are principal investigators like Samir Saman, who was head of the biochemistry department, the largest department in the largest university in the country. And people like Alan Goldfarb, who did the first study on exercise physiology. He was president of the American Society of Exercise Physiology. And you look at Manfred, who's done some of our studies. He's got a double PhD, an MBA, his own research lab, and he is president of the Austrian Society for Sports Nutrition. Goldfarb was president of American Society for Sports Nutrition. I mean, these are world-renowned investigators, and what I've asked actually the marketing firm is, let's look at every single investigator and tell their story, make their stories available in the research refresh that we're working on, because these are amazing people. And don't forget, Wendy, all of these research centers and universities and all of these individual investigators and the key members of their team have their name on our papers. They have gone on record that this is quality research and done under their auspices, and they're taking credit. So, I mean, we're associating with the best of the best worldwide. It's just amazing.
Oh my gosh. You know, after all of these years together, I still just learn something new from you every single time we talk. Thank you so much for that. And let's talk a little bit about the research results. There's nobody that says this is better than you, right? When you're talking the bioavailability and oxidative stress and chronic inflammation and the immune system and all of that. Would you just share maybe some of your highlights, the ones that you love the most?
Yeah, well, look, the big picture, of course, is starts with bioavailability. One of the problems that almost all dietary supplements have that are individualized, synthesized ingredients is that they don't get absorbed in the body. And if they don't get absorbed, then they can't really do anything. Or a small amount gets absorbed, and so you don't get the results that you're looking for. So almost all of our Juice Plus studies start with bioavailability that show that because Juice Plus is food, because it's nature's balance of ingredients that we haven't changed, that it gets into the body quickly, gets absorbed. And as a result of that, we've got multiple studies on improvement of heart health, the immune system, all different factors of the immune system, reduction of a number of different markers of oxidative stress, reduction of chronic inflammation, and those two factors, oxidative stress and chronic inflammation, are the underpinnings of almost all modern lifestyle diseases. We have studies on DNA and nutrigenomics, which we'll talk about in a second. We have studies on lung health, skin health, dental health, weight management. I mean, the difference is just there are two studies that really stand out for me. One is the one that you just explained as I was coming on the call, that is so amazing in terms of cognitive health. They used 3 different globally recognized cognitive tests that covered, not only memory, attention, speed of processing, response, riddles, all sorts of visual, auditory, all sorts of mental tests. And the incredible thing was, Wendy, it was a clean sweep. As you were saying, the results were positive for the subjects only while they were on Juice Plus and not while they were on the placebo. And this is, when you use the crossover, I'd like to call it the platinum standard. It's not just the gold standard, but it's the platinum standard. Just unbelievable results. And I was sitting with somebody at the convention who's just retired. He lives in Florida. And I said, oh my gosh, your market is so huge for this study. You need to be talking to people who are concerned about their cognitive decline. And these are, what they were testing actually is normal, everyday cognitive decline with aging. But it helped all of the participants across the board. And the other study that just blows my mind is the one we did a couple of years ago in Newcastle, Australia, on inflammatory markers and other great results on biomarkers, but also on this new field of nutrigenomics, genomics, which is a subset of epigenetics. And what that means that good lifestyle, in the case of Nutra, good food, can actually change your life outcome. Because we all know there's potentiality in our DNA, good and bad. But we are not prisoners of that potentiality. Good food, good lifestyle can turn off the negative genes in our DNA and turn on the positive genes. And that's what we saw in this study. Incredible results, literally turning on 1,100 positive gene aspects of our DNA and turning off 500 of the negative aspects. Just unbelievable results that the industry is just beginning to explore, and we're already there. We're already out there.
It's pretty phenomenal. And I actually was just reading more about that study, and it was interesting because I guess a lot of studies have been done in general with people that had a disease or the elderly or various groups. But anyway, it's pretty amazing that we don't have to be victims, right? We can change up our lifestyle and change everything from there. You know, it's
honestly, Wendy, that's all I need to know to be on Juice Plus for the rest of my life.
Well, between that and the fact that the trio group went back to baseline when they were off the trio, I tell you, I am never going to be without my Juice Plus ever, right? Oh, my gosh. Crazy good. But I remember with the immune system study, do you want to talk about the cobras? Because I loved when you talked about when they got flu or something like that the last time we were speaking.
Well, the cobra study was done by Manfred when he was independent from the Juice Plus company. He had been to the presentation of Goldfarb's study in Nashville on the improvement. Juice Plus improved the recovery time and response time and fitness athletes. And Manfred is a great athlete and a cyclist and an incredible skier. And he put this proposal together on the Cobras in Austria, which is their anti-terrorism group. And it just so happens when the study was conducted that they were under tremendous pressure because there was a World Economic Summit there, and they were supposed to be protecting these guys not long after 9/11. You know, so terrorism was a huge issue. And while the study was being conducted, a flu bug went through the barracks. They all lived together, and these are military guys, and they lived together in the barracks. And what we saw was, again, it was a crossover, like the study that was done in Murcia, Spain on cognitive health. And while the soldiers were on Juice Plus, all of their symptoms were better and they missed fewer roster days. Then they crossed over, and when they're back on the placebo, they were sick. And those that started on the placebo were sick, and then they went through the crossover. And when they got on Juice Plus, their symptoms were lessened, and their roster days were missed. So it was just the same type of thing. A clear-cut difference between everybody, whether they started in the first group or the second, everybody on Juice Plus versus everybody on the placebo. You take all the other factors out of the equation. Amazing.
Unbelievable. It's fantastic. And the way that you share that just makes my heart sing, because it makes me so proud to be able to represent something as fabulous as Juice Plus, right, and to be a part of this company. And speaking of that, though, are you still involved in the research program today, John?
Well, yes. There is a research committee, and I'm sort of a ex officio honorary member of the committee, so I still have a very strong relationship with Manfred, and we speak pretty regularly. We've got a great relationship with Sean, and I am included in the committee's activities, and believe me, there is more going on right now than ever. It's just awesome how much the company has committed to the continuation of this research. And then when it comes to my relationship with Stuart, this is one of the areas where I have reached out to her. We have regular conversations that I believe needs more emphasis. And so she's asked me to check in with first go over with her, give her a better understanding of what we have, which is incredible. And then to work with the marketing team, because Billy was new and Sasha was new and Chris Kaufman, even though he's in Europe and has been around a while, really wasn't very involved. And so, yes, I'm working with them to try to help them develop a greater understanding of the powerful tool that we have and no one else has in our market.
Okay, and do you have specific objectives with this continued involvement?
Well, our marketing team's put a lot of good stuff out over the years, and some of it just needs to be refreshed. And Dr. Candace Corson, who I think is on the call tonight, after our last call to your leadership group, you put us in touch, and Candace reached out to me with a couple of samples from the old days of things that were really valuable. I have suggested that these be refreshed and brought up to date, and with a little more punch. And so refresh, the second is refocus. Let's put greater emphasis on this differentiator in the marketplace, because no one else has it and no one's ever going to have it. It's too expensive, it's too difficult, and most companies have too many products to try to spread the research dollars over so that it would be watered down. And they're all competing on price. If they're in Costco, Walmart, Walgreens, where most of the dietary supplements are sold in this country, they can't afford it. And then the last thing is, I have really strongly encouraged Stuart, Sean, and the marketing group, let's take the gloves off. Let's be loud and proud about what we've done.
Yay! Clapping coming from everywhere. Yes, absolutely.
And not be afraid of our own shadow, because, we are the poster child for the FDA and the FTC. And as you know, my years on CRN, I knew these people. They know who we are. They know that we have done what they wish everybody would do. We're not even on their radar. And, we all get frustrated when other companies are out there talking about as if they have it or borrowing our story and our research. And it's so frustrating. So I'm helping them evaluate the risk per market on what that means, taking the gloves off. And in the U.S., there's practically no risk. Okay? In other markets, there are regulatory concerns. Europe has the European Food Safety Authority, and they're stuck on the drug model of wanting to know what is the specific ingredient, the specific active ingredient in Juice Plus that created these results. Well, of course, that's missing the whole point. It's everything working together. And
right.
so,
Cinegenex and Whole Foods, they don't understand it. I get it.
No, they don't get it. We're a round peg in a square hole, and so, but still, I believe that we should step out and take them on.
Okay, well, we're with you on that one for sure. And especially lately, because, you've got these companies out there that are spending a fortune on advertising. They're telling our story for us. That's good. They're more expensive than us. That's good, I suppose. But it's so frustrating because they don't have any research. None. I've called them. They have no research. They've got borrowed research versus original. Maybe you could talk about that.
Yeah, and we're all frustrated by that. I've had guys here. I'm at the Bandon Dunes Golf Resort on my annual pilgrimage, and a shout out to my old, long-time Bandon Dunes roommate, Jim Campbell, who I miss. And I know Don Cruzy's on the line. Don has come on this trip, and so anyway, I've had guys when on the golf course. I saw something on Fox News the other day. It sounded an awful lot like the way you've described Juice Plus. And yeah, I hear it. And the truth is, Wendy, copycats are nothing new. This goes way back to 99, and before the time of most of the people on the call, at least their Juice Plus time, there was a schism at NAI, and some people left, and they copycatted, or tried to copycat Juice Plus with 6 or 7 companies. I mean, we were under attack all the time. Then, there was a product in Costco for a long time that said compare to Juice Plus, which was made by a pharmaceutical company out of India that bought a small manufacturing company in the San Fernando Valley. And they were so disreputable that most of their scientific staff quit. And yet there they were in Costco with this product compared to Juice Plus. And now here we have this balance of nature thing. And that is a cheap imitation and they're unethical. They actually, Wendy, have pictures from our fields in their ad.
Oh,
like
my
a
God.
box. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And I looked at their site, and they talk about independent lab tests. Well, what those are, if someone's doing a test on herbicides and pesticides and heavy metals, which you are required to do as a minimum for good manufacturing practice, that has nothing to do with clinical research. That's just your basic quality control lab. I mean, it's a joke. And so I'm here to say, yes, it is disturbing. And they're spending a lot of money. But these have come and gone over the entire history of the Juice Plus story. And they will go again because they don't have the real process. They don't have the quality of fruits and vegetables that we have. They don't have their own research, and ultimately, they're not built to last. So if someone were to ask me about what would you say when someone comes up with this, then basically all I'd say is, look, everything they have is borrowed. They're a copycat. They don't have their own clinical research. Why take a chance on a company like that when you can have the original, the Cadillac, the real thing with Juice Plus, and you have assurance and a 28-year track record that you are getting the best nutraceutical ever made.
Oh, yeah. And, to me as a nurse, what was really important to me was the NSF certification, right? I wanted to make sure that if you're taking something every day, you want to make sure about the safety of that product. And nobody else. It's too expensive to get that certificate, I believe. Isn't you say that?
It is expensive. There are a few who focus almost solely on the athletics market that take the trouble. But, 99% of the people out there don't bother because what it requires is that NSF audit all of your manufacturing sites, all of them, and we've got 9 or 10 or 11 around the world, that they also audit samples of your product to determine that what's on the label is actually in the product and that other things that aren't supposed to be on the label are not in the product, and specifically all of the WADAs, the World Anti-Doping Authority, all of their banned substances. They make sure that none of them are there, and there's a lot of them. So, it's expensive testing, and most people just aren't willing to spend the money.
Well, I'm very grateful that our company cares that much. I'm grateful for so much. I'm grateful for you John Blair, because of your expertise and wisdom, and that you've been in control of all of this. We are so grateful for you. I can't say that enough. But maybe, did you have some parting words maybe that you wanted to share, John?
Yeah, I think it's been a tough time. We just lost a great friend in Chris Cotton. Thinking back to Frank Eggleston and, of course, Rick. His quote, I think, will last forever, that there is no product, pharmaceutical or nutraceutical, that gives you the breadth of protection and nutrition and benefit that you get from Juice Plus. And when you look at the whole range of research, that just cannot be challenged. And so I'd say to honor Rick and everyone else, let's stay focused on the mission. And that's what it's about. It's about helping people realize their dreams, and it's about inspiring healthy living around the world. Because for almost 30 years, we have been making a huge difference, not only in this country, but all over the world. And as my friend Jason Jennings, the author, says, great companies built to last, do well by doing good. And I think just for all of us to have the peace of mind and the joy and the satisfaction of knowing that what we're doing for a living is truly helping families all over this country and all over the world. It's just, life doesn't get any better than that, Wendy. So I'm just saying the best is yet to come. We are going to be stronger than ever in the years ahead. I'm really excited about Stuart and her team. And I just, it's an honor to be with you and your team tonight. And I just thank you for this opportunity. And I wish everybody the best, because we're going to have a phenomenal year.
Oh, thank you, John. You've got me in tears now, and I'm sure everybody on this call is feeling the same way. We